From the ages of 12 to 33, not only was I 100% rock solid convinced that God was real, but I saw Jesus as truly my only real friend. And I literally saw myself as nothing without him. And then one day, I realized it was all fiction, that Jesus was fiction. And then I had this realization to find my way through, that if I truly saw myself as nothing without Jesus, and Jesus wasn't real, then what do I, if I am nothing without Jesus and Jesus isn't real, then who am I? What am I? How do I make of myself and my next steps? What does this mean for me to be nothing but this one person, and then the one person's not real? Then who the hell am I? And then I wondered, how did I get stuck believing so confidently, so irrefutably, for so long, literal decades? And get this, folks, that if my own mind's ability to perceive reality was that far off track for that long of a time, then how could I ever trust my mind, myself, again? Tonight we're zeroing in on all of the fear, the shame, the obedience patterns that still linger on even after we leave the faith. And we ask, how do we ever learn to trust ourselves again? For all of this and more, we're here. Let's talk, let's discuss, let's navigate these roads together. So call in and share with us. Share your journey, share your challenges about learning to trust yourself again, and pretty much anything else that you are wrestling through tonight. Keep in mind that your boots on the ground challenges after leaving the faith in real time, these will always be prioritized. That we, that you, that me, that our amazing co-host tonight, that we might partner up and find our way together. The number is on the screen, folks, 98 4400 5656, because the Life After Faith live call-in show, yeah, that starts in 3, 2, 1, now. And joining me tonight, folks, the founder of Authority Literacy and the author of the book Breaking Up with Jesus. She examines identity reconstruction, inherited beliefs, and the process of rebuilding trust in one's own judgment after leaving the faith, all within a context of conversations that are both analytical and compassionate, with a focus on meaning, belonging, and life after faith. Please join me in welcoming, folks, the one, the only, Tai Goodwin. Hey, Tai, welcome to the show.
So excited for this conversation.
How are you feeling tonight? Are you there?
I'm here. I'm feeling great.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it looked like you froze up there for a moment, but no, it's good to have you on. It's good to have you on. I got to tell you, I'm not sure I have ever come across a better title for a book than Breaking Up with Jesus. So, seriously, it's pretty fantastic. I mentioned in the opening that I used to see Jesus is My Only Friend. The book title, if I'm seeing it correctly, almost sounds like it's positioning Jesus as a boyfriend. Did you see Jesus along those lines when you were of the faith?
Well, you know where that came from. I don't know if you've ever talked to Christians, and they will tell you it's not a religion, it's a relationship, right? So the crux of this, if this is the relationship, when I took a look at my life, I definitely needed to break up with that relationship. So that's how it got to, I need to break up with Jesus.
I love it. Well, seriously, it's really good to have you on. How are you feeling today?
I'm excited. I've been
Yeah.
looking forward to this conversation. I've been in the weeds, writing and reading. And so getting a chance to help some people, to listen to some people is always a good thing to do in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you sharing your time with us. Seriously, really awesome. And folks, I got to tell you, everybody in the chat, all y'all watching later, Tai, looking over all that you've done and all the different projects you've had, books that you've written, this new book coming out soon is not your only book. Seriously, this is one of those conversations where I'm like, well, shit, like, I guess if we got to make time for calls, but no, and that really, folks, that's what this is really about, right? It's all about calls. It's all about helping folks, boots on the ground, live in real time conversations and whatnot. But seriously, you have so many rich projects and experiences that I really feel like we could take this whole session and just talk one-on-one, because there's so much stuff that you've been involved in. So I'm really looking forward. This is one of the conversations I've been most excited for here as we've been getting ready now, just in our fifth session here. But so I'm excited too.
Yeah, me too. And congratulations on launching this. I know it's early, but I know that these kinds of communities and these kind of conversations, it's where seeds get sown. It's where people, get a little bit more liberated, get a little more curious. So congratulations on putting it out here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. Thank you. We're excited. It's a bit of a long time in the making, however we might say that. And no, definitely, we just want to help folks, want to have fun doing it, want to provide a space of a little sliver of community, if you will, and really provide a support system of a variety that not everyone might have access to. So yeah, absolutely. So for those of us who might be just getting to know you for the first time, Tai, share with us, if you would, a little bit about your background, specifically your faith background, if you don't mind. What did that look like? Where do you come from faith-wise? Paint out that picture a little bit for us, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I grew up in church. I grew up in a church family. I think I remember my very first Bible scripture was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, and people clapping because, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to your own understanding. Like, that's what I grew up with. So, my grandfather on both sides, they were deacons in the churches. My grandmother was an evangelist. And so, looking back, I was heavily indoctrinated in it. And that was a Baptist church that we grew up in. And then from that Baptist foundation, we went into more non-denominational churches, kind of bordered on that whole prosperity, evangelical, speaking in tongues kind of thing, heavy on worship, all of those things. You feel like that, this church or this community is something that you want to hold on to. And then after being a teenager in that, I went on to keep it going. When I went to college, I was in the gospel choir. I was a Bible study leader. I went on to be a singles ministry leader at the church. So, I was doing all the things. I was living it out, because I 100% believed in it. No question. And I was probably annoying as heck. I know I was annoying as heck. And I know that I felt bad about this later, but about how I just really harassed people. And was just really judgmental about people, because I was one of those people that lived it. I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go to church on Sunday and, not do it. I was actually trying to live this out.
And that's a powerful thing, right? Because it's so easy for folks to say, especially those who are theists, believers in a God, right? To look at, especially certain varieties of Christian, to be able to look and be like, oh, well, if you walked away from the faith, then clearly you never actually believed it in the first place. And while you're sitting here going, if you had any idea how much I believed it.
Oh my goodness. That's one of the things that pisses me off the most when I've talked to Christians. I'll give you a quick story. I was a fashion design major in college.
Wow.
Love fashion, love illustration. I encountered my freshman year a book called My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers.
Yes.
And he was an artist. And he gave up his art because he wanted to be a missionary. I was so embedded. Do you know I changed my major from fashion design because here's the little thing that I said to myself. The world doesn't need more clothes, but if I can teach, here's and I'm gonna be out. It's always makes me cringe a little bit when I think about it now, but this is how deep I was in. I said the devil wants people not to learn how to read so they can't read the Bible. So I am going to become a teacher because then I can help more people read. And I said, especially more Black kids. I'm going to help more Black children read, because if they can read the Bible, then they can know God. So when somebody tells me that you weren't in it, I'm like, you are out of your effing mind. Right?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to drop the F-bomb?
You can say whatever the fuck you
out of your
want.
fucking mind.
All right. We are not going to trample on the autonomy of the words you speak. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Taking back my authority in my language. So when I say that I was actually living this. Yeah. It literally changed the trajectory of my life, because I wanted to be the good and faithful servant, right? I wanted I'm praying, God, direct my path. Your word is a light into my feet and a lamp into my path. I'm trying to live that out, right? Because I honestly believed it 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't walk away from your career. You don't change your education for something that you on a whim, or think maybe I could make a few extra bucks. Most ministers are impoverished. You don't go into ministry to get rich. At least most folks don't. No, yeah, it's just absolutely insane and heartbreaking, and like you said, just piss off worthy, right? And they can piss off with their critique. But no, that's fantastic. Yeah. So my understanding, do I have this right, that your deconstruction process, deconstruction journey was like a 10-year process, right?
It was. Yeah.
How did that go?
It was slow, but it was because it was so deep, and the thing that got me to deconstruct was me wanting to be closer to God. And I remember one of the exact moments, I was in church. I was at the altar. I just wrote about this the other day, as a matter of fact. I was at the altar again with all the other women in my church, praying again and listening to everybody. God, help save my husband, save my children, help with my car, help with my job. And it dawned on me that we've been coming to this altar for years. Same tears, same people putting oil on our heads, same hands raised, same, crying out to God. And every Sunday we're walking away with nothing changing. And typical, like we've been conditioned. I didn't say it was God's fault. I was never angry at God. I said, there's something wrong with me. I don't know. I don't know enough. I'm doing something wrong. And so it was at that point I said, I'm just going to get rid of everything. I'm going to throw away all my Charles Stanley books, all my, commissioned CD. I'm going to get rid of everything. And my prayer was this, Drew. I said, I want to know God for myself. That was my prayer. And that was what led me to actually reading more. And I started saying, wait a minute, when I started reading things, and it was by piece by piece. And I remember calling my sister once and I said, we've been bamboozled. And and I'm embarrassed to say it now, but it was about the story of the Tower of Babel. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
Because you're taught, they tried to build a tower to heaven and God didn't want that. But when you actually read it, it's even more disturbing. But at that time, I said, but that's not even scientifically possible. We can't build anything that high now. Right? Yes. And I called my sister, I said, we've been bamboozled, but I still tried to hold on, Drew. Right. I said, I can't get with the stories of the Old Testament. There's a whole bunch of stories in there. If you want to talk about that, we can. So maybe I'll just go to the New Testament and I'm going to try Jesus only. And you'll appreciate this. I was in Minnesota. I was in Minnesota for 12 years.
Really?
And I paid my own money to fly to Chicago for a Why Jesus conference.
Wow.
Surely they were going to have something about this Jesus. And real. I remember being heartbroken, because that was when I realized the lack of historicity for the Jesus character.
For the Jesus Character.
Where, because I'm like, well, there's got to be other books and stories about this person who did all these things, right? There's got to be contemporary stories like other historical characters. And I was so crushed, Drew, because there was nothing.
Nothing.
And that was my last straw. So that happened over that 10-year period. It started with me wanting to know more. And the more I looked, the more there was nothing to hold on to.
So I want to come back to this real quick. I love this super chat. I don't know, Tai, if you're familiar with or if you've met Detroit Atheist Queen.
I've not met
she
her before.
is a legend, if I may. And so Detroit Atheist Queen 247, $5 super chat. And she says this: sorry, I get so giddy when I see a new Black atheist, or at least new to me. And emojis, I like to joke my eyesight's getting so bad I can't tell what the emojis are anymore, but there's lots of love here. And so thank you, Detroit Atheist Queen. Always good to see you. Right back in the comments again. And thank you for all your work. And Tai, thank you for being here once again. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I feel the same way. I love it that I see more women, and especially more Black women, waking up and talking about this and creating community and sharing our stories. It's a powerful thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So take us back to where you were a moment ago, okay, with this realization. Now, I think if I caught it right, you said that was kind of like the final straw. Is that right? Yeah. And so that was kind of towards the end of the 10 years then? Yeah. So where'd life take you from there? How did it look like to make the final break? Or where did the ruptures, I almost said raptures, the lack of raptures, where as you got raptured up to secularism? Yeah. What did that look like? And how has that shaped your life today?
Well, first I wanted to still hold on to this spiritual side, right? Because there's some comfort in having a spiritual connection, or believing that you have like this spiritual connection to something that's bigger than you, right? And so I said, well, now I'm going to be a mystic. So I'm going to go and I'm going to look into all these religions and all these things. And that was another heartbreaking journey, because my conclusion at that point the conclusion I came to at that point was, every single religion that we have has only ever been communicated by another human. There's not a single deity that's ever communicated to all of us at one time. Right. And so, and then it became like what one of the focuses was tonight about this whole trust thing, right? If every single deity has ever been delivered to us, all their words have ever come through another human, how can I trust that?
Oh, that's good.
Because I'm putting myself back in the same situation. And it was my brother, actually. I think you know my brother, maybe Tai Goodwin, fanatic, right? And I remember being on his show when we were talking, he made a comment about, are you looking for something to replace what you think you lost? Something like that. And that helped me give some pause too, because I said, okay, wait a minute. I'm looking for something that's going to give me that same kind of connection or something different, but the evidence doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And so then you start applying that deconstruction thinking to everything. And you have to go back and question, is there evidence for this? Is this real?
Yeah.
Right. And it ended, where I've landed is getting okay with not having to have certainty. Right.
Yeah.
I don't have to have that certainty. That certainty didn't do anything to better me. So I had to let it go. That need for certainty, let it go.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think if I have this right, your preferred, I don't know, we use the word title or label or whatever. Some of that stuff is so weird, but I think if I have this right, you prefer referring to yourself, thinking of yourself as an agnostic atheist. And so thinking maybe that's connecting that, right? This lack of certainty, right? And this perpetual learning. Right. And growing.
Yeah. Well, I think there could be something, but whatever it is, it's none of the gods we've ever labeled. It's, what I mean? It's none of the things that we've ever called God, but there could be something, but we don't I don't know. I don't have any evidence to say that there is or there isn't, but there may be.
Mm-hmm. Look at this. Here we have Coffee Snob, James Xline. Hey, good to see you, brother. Good to see you in the chat. Thanks for being here tonight. And he says that right there. By the way, Ty, this is referring to your words. Okay. That all words from a deity come from humans. And the fact that there have been roughly 40,000 Christian denominations, meaning even within Christianity, they can't agree on shit given the same Bible. It's just wild, right?
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
there's not one Christianity. There are, I mean, really, and if you break it down here, here's something that blows my mind, okay, is it's not just individual churches, not just individual denominations, not just individual churches, because how many churches within a single denomination actually, when you look at not just general theology, but you look at individual verses, like there's almost unlimited takes on every individual verse, right?
Yeah.
So how many churches are there within a single denomination that actually agree on the proper interpretation of every single verse in the entire Bible? How many Christians in any one church all have the exact same interpretation of every single verse within the entire Bible? Like it's millions of different, slightly nuanced Christianities. And is any of it anything reflecting reality? Yeah. Hey, I want to, and folks, yes, call in. So the lines are open, right? So 98, 4400, 56, 56. You can also use the web link in the show notes to call that way. Also want to see y'all. I'm loving the chat. I'm not even able to keep up with it right now, but I do read everything afterwards. But so yeah, chat in on this question. If you don't want to call in, chat in. But it's this idea of rebuilding self-trust. Let's check out this super chat real quick by Felicia. Felicia by nature, another $5. Thank you so much for keeping this work going strong. And Felicia by nature says $5 for the Get Drew Glasses Emergency Fund so he can read emojis. Oh my! Well, see, I do have contacts. I wear glasses. I just maybe need bifocals now. It's getting so bad. I can't read my phone in the dark while I'm driving, which maybe I'm not supposed to. Maybe that's God protecting me from reading text while I drive. But seriously, I can't even if the car's stopped, I can't read it in the dark anymore. And anyway, so I want to dive in as folks are starting to call in. Calls are starting to trickle in. So jump in, y'all. And again, live boots on the ground conversations with anything, any challenges you're facing as you navigate life after faith. All of it is welcome. It doesn't have to be on this featured conversation of rebuilding self-trust. But Ty, I do want to dig into this a little bit with you here, just to continue setting this conversation up. The process of rebuilding self-trust after leaving the faith. I believe I have it right that you've said before that it can be harder. Rebuilding self-trust after leaving the faith can be harder than actually leaving the faith itself.
Yeah.
I would love for you to unpack that and take this in any direction you'd like. But, why do you think that is? What's going on beneath the surface as we try and do this work of rebuilding self-trust after faith?
A lot of folks that, I was on TikTok for a while, and a lot of people would say, well, you left the faith. Why can't you just be done with it? Why do you still have to talk about it? And one of the things I think folks don't realize is just how intricately interwoven the Christian teachings become in your life. And so think about it. The terms I use is that we've outsourced our authority. We've outsourced our thinking. We've outsourced our feelings. We've outsourced all of that. So now when you take that away, what tells you what to do? If you've lived your life saying, okay, God, direct my path, and you think that you're hearing from God, and then you realize you didn't hear from God, what was I listening to? Where did that come from? If everything in me thought that was God before, how do I know that what I'm hearing now is good or right or true because it told me that was God in the first place. So you go through these circles
Mm.
and you don't want to be manipulated again. You don't want to be hurt again. You don't want to be lied to again. But how do you start to figure out, is it you really saying that? Or is it something that somebody told you? Is it a
Mm.
story? Is it a Bible verse that's kind of woven into you? And I'll give you one that was like, that's been big for me this year.
Yeah.
I realized how punitive Christianity is
Mm.
because you're always expecting, you're told that someone had to pay for your sins.
Yeah.
So that was woven so intricately into how I thought that I realized that every time I would be in a situation, I would be looking for someone to pay for what they did wrong before I would be looking for a solution.
Mm.
So now when I'm in conversations with people, can I trust that my response is based on me solving the problem? Or is my response based on, oh, you need to pay for what you did to me? You need to pay for what you said to me.
Mm.
And it can be something as simple as somebody leaving eggs out on a table,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
Now the
Wow.
eggs are going to be bad, and this is a true story that happened in my house. Someone
Okay.
left
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah.
We bought like 2 dozen eggs, and somebody took them out of the refrigerator to put a cake into the refrigerator and left the eggs out overnight. Well, somebody's got to pay for that because now those eggs are not going to be good. Da, 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 and I'm angry. And my
Yeah.
dear husband said to me, we'll just buy more eggs,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
But my brain said, and the thing that I trusted that was in me said, no, somebody has to pay because they did something wrong. But that
Mm.
is an evidence of like, how do, and what is what I'm feeling? How can I trust even that? Because it's
Yeah.
been conditioned by all these things that somebody has to pay. You're a sinner, and and it filters into all these aspects of our lives that we're not even realizing that that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean it's wild with all that, how much all of it is baked in
Yeah,
to just how we view the world, and now just having to restitch all of that back together, right? Like
yeah,
I know for me, I felt like my ethic that I lived by was so intentionally built on how I read and understood the Bible every day. And then all
yeah,
of a sudden that was gone. And I'm like, well, how do I know how to function what am I intentionally functioning? Like, what does this look like? How I felt the need to just like push pause. Remember what was that sitcom in the 80s where like didn't that girl just like go like this and it froze time, this little kid? Anyway, I
oh,
don't know what that was, but like I just wanted to freeze time and be like, hold on, I can't go another day until I've rebuilt, restitched together an entire ethic to live by because I literally don't know how to function anymore. Um, and
it's
yeah,
that.
and not all of that is automatically undone, rebuilt. It's not automatically deconstructed. It's not automatically reconstructed.
Yeah.
It's just a whole lot of challenges. But hey, Ty, we have our first caller. What do you think? Should we go ahead and chat with some folks?
Let's chat.
Let's chat. Let's chat. Okay. So we have our caller is NH. Okay. NH pronouns are he, him. Turkey is call or NH is calling from Turkey, an atheist who has a question, wants to chat with us about motivation, I believe. Hey
Okay.
there, NH, pushing the big green button. NH, you are on live with Ty and Drew. How you doing? Excellent, doing well. So glad that you called in tonight. Tell us a little bit about or I say tonight, but whatever time of day it is, wherever we are all around the globe. Tell us what's on your mind here. Okay. Yes. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, this is a huge conversation. And I'm really, really glad you brought it up because you're not alone in wondering these things. Um, it sounds like you're referencing, and correct me if I'm wrong or I'm going down another path, a different path than what you intended. But it sounds to me like maybe you're referencing the science, the understandings that we've had about how the neural decisions make, or the neural changes that take place in our brain, showing that decisions have been made at least a few seconds prior to us actually verbalizing or even being aware of the decision, almost as if it's been made for us before we consciously had a say in it. Is that, and so in that case, then do we even have free will if this is taking place before we consciously choose it's being made for us? Is that kind of the along the line of what you're referencing, NH? Yeah. Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I'm curious. What is it that you need to or would like to be in control of?
Mm.
Okay. Um, that's a good question. I mean, generally speaking, I want to be a better person. I want to improve. I want to be someone that my family, my friends can rely on. I want to like carry myself up by my bootstraps and all that. But I don't know. I'm finding it hard to motivate myself when I don't believe that I can.
Mm.
Hmm.
Technically speaking, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I think that's part of the challenge of, you're looking at something really, really big,
Mhm.
and I wonder if there's a way to
Mhm.
slice it smaller and identify what would it be like when you say you want to be a better person. What would that mean for you? Is it, you want to give more money to something, you want to volunteer more? I mean, because those are smaller things that you can do, but you have to kind of define what does that mean for you to be a better person.
Mm.
I see. Well, there are a lot of aspects, like different aspects in my life, but yeah, I would like to be good at my job at the very least. I am working, like I have graduated last year. Actually,
Congratulations.
finding a job as a computer engineer in this time is
Mm.
a miracle in and of itself. But
Mm.
uh, anyway,
Absolutely.
what did I say?
Congrats. Yeah.
Yeah, being good at my work because I'm having trouble at being motivated enough to do my job
Mm.
and completing my hours and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I think that would be the first step.
Mm. Do
Okay.
you, NH, you mentioned a few times, if I heard you right, that you want to
Hmm.
be a good person. Okay. Do you see
Yeah.
yourself? I mean, I'm sure this can, if you're like me, you can overanalyze yourself over and over again. Well, what do I mean by a good person? Well, I guess in this way I am, but maybe not in that way. I don't know how you answer it.
Hmm.
But so don't feel free to, well, take it any way you want. When you say you want to be a good person,
Yeah.
do you think you're a good person?
I think if like morally speaking, I think I am a good person, like partially, like in terms of my relationship with my friends, family. I think I behave well, and people like me generally speaking. But when it comes to self discipline and doing what I want to do and setting goals, discipline generally speaking, it's not good at all.
Mm.
Mhm.
And like it's been waves, right? It's sometimes I'm fine, sometimes I'm not. But like when I used to be a theist, I was like, okay, I can do this. Like I just need to motivate myself, and I'm gonna do this. So I get a wave of motivation, and then I crash again. So I was always disappointed with myself. Why do you
Mhm.
do this? Like why don't you learn your lesson? But actually, my non-belief in free will made it like I'm accepting that I'm like this. So it's interestingly like I'm at peace kind of with what's happening. But at the same time, like I want to be better. So
Mm.
I'm between a rock and a hard place.
Can, can I point something out that I heard, and you can tell me if this is right? It sounds like what I
Yeah.
heard you say was that you had the same challenge when you were a theist,
Mm.
right? So whether you believed or whether you didn't believe, you still had the waves of motivation, and then something would crash or something would change. Did I hear that right?
Uh, yeah, yeah, I mean, partially. Like, I feel like it was more volatile back when I was a theist. It was like
Yeah.
really big
Mm.
waves of motivation and then demotivation when I failed to hold up by my own standards. But now it's like a steady state, but it's steadier, like downwards, kind of.
Mm.
So I'm accepting that uh, like my brain anatomy and how I've been raised all this time and all the factors that were not in my control are to be blamed, so to speak. So I'm at peace with it, but partially at peace with it, let's say.
Mhm.
Um, so that's the thing. Like the volatility is less now,
Mm.
Okay.
but yeah, the struggle has always existed. Yeah.
And I asked that because it's in your statement. It sounds like you were connecting the not having a belief in free will to be the reason that you didn't have the motivation. But it sounds like you had that same thing of motivation, even though it's lesser now. You had that even when you were thinking that free will was a thing, right? So it that didn't change any of those things. So I'm wondering if there's something else that's the motivation that's causing the motivation issue. And when I think about it, I think it's honestly just part of being human. And I think a lot of religions sold us this idea that there's something that's in us, there's something external that we can add to ourselves to make us be these like great perfect people that always get it right. But the reality is that we're humans. We're fallible. We make mistakes. Some days we feel great. Some days we don't feel great. And it could be anything from the sun not shining that day
Mm.
to something we ate last night to not getting enough sleep to not. There's all these facets that we've tried to explain with an ideology when it simply is us just being human.
Mm. And along that line, NH, I'm curious. Okay, I know, it sounds like as you've read and studied more about the science of our autonomy and our decision making and what we call free will, as you've read and studied more of that science, I'm curious, what is your experience like? In other words, I'd like to kind of pull at a little bit of a distinction. Let's pull the threads a little bit. So on the one hand, you're learning cognitively about how free will is maybe less my choice than we've acknowledged before, what it's felt. Maybe free will is complete bullshit, and it's just a nonstop backward, back steps of decision making that I never really had any control over. Right, would be one of the interpretations of it. But so we have that cognitive thread over here. The more we're learning about the process behind the scenes, I'd like to pull on this thread a little bit about actual experience. Does it feel, despite what you know
Mhm.
or have read or have studied or are learning, despite that, does it feel like you have free will and like you have control over your decisions?
Yeah, I do feel like I have free will. But the feeling is kind of like I feel that way, but it's more like I feel it and I know it's not real, or it's not an illusion of some sort. So I act as if I have free will because we've evolved in that way. But uh, like the intellectual knowledge that it isn't real kind of diminishes my maybe willpower, or well, I don't think willpower exists either, but I think you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel like I have free will, but it's
Well,
still
yeah.
like an issue. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. How confident are
Hmm.
you? Well, let me ask you a two-part question. How much do you feel, based on your studies and how you've connected those studies, and I've read a fair amount as well, how convinced are you that every single slightest minutia of decision making for every human on earth throughout history and around the world, how much do you find that every single element of decision making is out of our hands? And so it's a two-part question. One is, to what degree? Is it just broad brushstrokes? Some things are predetermined by our own neural structure, chain of events, etc. Some things are, or literally everything is somewhere in the middle. So partially it's a question of how much, to what extent do we not have free will and it's all predetermined?
Mhm.
And then the second part of that question is, how confident are you? So in other words, are you leaning into that? Yes, every single thing. But as much as I lean into and wonder every single thing, I'm not 100% sure that that's actually the case, right? Like maybe I'm 50% there, or maybe I'm 80% sure that it is a thing. Maybe I'm 100% sure that this is a thing, but I'm not so sure that it's literally controls every decision, blue versus pink, etc. Right? Like, so how much
Mhm.
are you convinced that, to what extent is everything predetermined, and to what degree are you convinced that this is the case? Feel free to answer that however you
Uh-huh.
want. I know
Gotcha.
I maybe wasn't presented the clearest way, but I think you get the general idea of where I'm going. To what extent do you think this is the case?
Yeah. Okay. So to what extent is I feel like it's 100%. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything is determined, either determined or random, like quantum
Mm-hmm.
randomness. How sure I am? Well, I am an agnostic, so whatever the evidence points to, I will believe it. Um, so, like the first part of the answer, I guess, the 100% part is more like I feel like it's not even possible, like because like I previously thought, like when I was a theist, that we have souls and that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing where from where our will comes from, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the absence of that mechanism makes it like, okay, so if there's no soul, then what? Like
Yeah.
it's only brains as far as we know, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So to what extent? I think 100%. How sure I am? I'm always open to changing my mind. So maybe I don't know, 50%,
Yeah.
60%.
So here's part of where I'm wondering. I'll connect these dots, and then maybe Ty has some additional thoughts as well here. What I like to lean
Mhm.
into with things like this, okay, and um, is, yeah, I've read the studies, and yeah, it seems definitely for at least some things it is determined previous to my awareness. That said,
Mhm.
for me, where I find hope, where I find motivation, okay, and By hope, I mean hope for my future, right? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right in that every single decision, every step I make is all set at least a few seconds prior to my awareness that it's even a thing for me to decide. Maybe that's true. Even if it's true, though, even if it's true, our experience is other. So now it might, and I would encourage you to try to not get hung up on the, yeah, but science says it's not, right? Like, so yes, whatever happens in our the neuro chain of command, et cetera, yes, all that is reality. But my experience is also reality. I really do experience it. And for all I know, so from a motivational standpoint, I've had times in my life where in the roller coaster of my own fucking mind, I've had times where, yeah, I can't even pull myself out of bed. Like I lose all motivation. It's like I am stuck to the fucking floor. Okay. And I can see where in my own mind, well, Jesus, if I don't have any control in this anyway, then can I even control getting out of bed? Well, if I can't control getting out of bed, well, then why even try to get out of bed? It can just feed into this cycle, right? Well, if it's already determined I'm going to get out of bed eventually, well, then I'll just let that determination make it happen and I'm going to quit trying. But see, here's the thing is if all of this, sometimes we do get out of bed most of the time. Sometimes we do feel motivated. Maybe even most of the time for certain things, we do feel motivated. So try not to get stuck in the minutia of what might be happening behind the scenes, because the cool thing is we experience it differently. And so maybe part of the determination of what's been determined is I'm going to start trying to find something to put a little bit of, dare I say, joy in my step, pep in my step. I'm going to do these things to try and focus on the at least felt autonomy that I have and look for ways where I can just lean into that. Because I guess what I would encourage is really just leaning into the fact that our experience is also reality because we're actually truly experiencing it. I can feel my hand right now. Okay. Regardless of all the, now really am I really feeling my skin on my fingertips, or is it this chain of things? And is the feeling of my skin really just an impression in my mind? Am I really feeling it, or is it an impression of feeling it? Am I really seeing through this camera, or is it really just a reflection off the back of my eye and the back of my, we can get caught up in all that, or we can simply say, fuck it. I'm just going to live. And I'm going to find a way to enjoy what I do. And I do think that when it comes, one of the beautiful things of understanding the science behind determinism or a lack of free will is realizing that when people fuck up, maybe we're a little more gracious with them than we would otherwise be, because maybe it is a chain of events they have less control over. Maybe we focus, rather than on vindication within our justice system, we focus on just keeping people safe and making sure that everyone, all parties involved, are safe, whatever that looks like, rather than trying to bring retribution and punishment, right? So we have a little more graciousness, if that's not too triggering of a word. But then we also have graciousness with ourselves, and we try to not get caught up in the minutia and just be, regardless of what is happening chemically behind the scenes. I don't know. Is that, I don't want to go on too long, but is that helpful in any way, NH, or am I just totally missing the boat here?
No, I do think it's helpful. Like, thank you for your explanation. Like, I think that's probably the issue. Like, the rumination in, like, the not doing anything, just thinking about it all the time and not living is the issue, probably. Because, like, other days where I get some burst of motivation and, like, do some push-ups or, like, go outside, meet friends, I don't think about that. So I have fun. Like, I have a good time. So yeah, I agree 100%. I feel like the rumination is the issue, not really the knowledge of it being true or it being scientifically accurate or or anything like that. And also you brought up how the intellectual understanding of the lack of free will can make us extra empathetic to others, or to maybe criminals, or things like that. And I 100% agree. Like I've seen like Dr. I think Robert Sapolsky. He's a big determinism guy, neuroscientist, I think. He preaches like the same thing. Like prisons, like maybe in Scandinavian countries, are way more like rehab than actual punishment. So I think that's very very in line with my thinking and with reality, quite frankly. So yeah, I like, in terms of my situation, I think you're on the money. Like the rumination is the issue, most likely.
Yeah. I've read that book, I think, by the author you're talking about. One of his books is called Behavior, and he talks about, exactly what you're saying here. One of the things I was thinking with this is, I was curious if you in thinking about how you've got a choice, because that's what it comes down to, right? How we're choosing and what we're choosing to do. And if you're choosing to believe that, in predetermination and that side of it, then you could consider that the lack of motivation that you have has been predetermined, right? And then you're kind of caught in that loop of you can't do anything with it. Now, on the other 50%, right, if you say that, well, it could be random, then that just means that we get to choose how we live, right? And so it all goes back to that choice. You choosing in this moment to do push-ups, or you choosing in this moment to take a class. That's something that we can be certain about, is that we can at least make a choice. But I agree about the whole agnostic side of it, because there's so much uncertainty. We don't know certain things, but we do know that we can make a choice to do something and live with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah, please do.
So I haven't read the book, to be honest. I have like seen the synopsis, and I've seen a few videos, but like you mentioned, like how the fact that there's probably some random aspects, like 50% random, that makes it more likely that we are making a choice. I couldn't get that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, let me clarify. I was just referencing, the book is called Behave. This is the book that I have by Sapolsky, right? So it's on my shelf.
There it is.
I was just saying that I've been reading some of what he says. But when we talked about the 50%, I was talking about something you referenced earlier, when he asked you about how sure you were, you said 50%. So I was going based off of what you said about it being 50% and it being agnostic. That's what I was making. That's the point I was trying to make.
Is that helpful, NH? Yeah.
Perfect.
No, seriously, great question. I really meant that sincerely when I said at the beginning, this is a huge conversation, and it can go in so many different directions. And this is the kind of stuff, I mean, I say this kind as if it's the only kind. There are many different kinds of things that excite me, and different kinds of calls that excite me about this show. And now only in our 5th session, the potential for this show. But being able to take that, saying, because that's what a lot of the heartbeat for this show is taking these concepts that are out there and that are big and that in some ways stick with us, that in some ways haunt us, that drive us or just confuse, whatever it may be. And then saying, okay, how do we live in light of these things? How do we live differently, or how do we live more fully in light of them? And how do we live more intentionally? All of that, right? It can go on, but how do we take concepts and live as a result of them more fully? And so I love that, this idea of the concept of determinism, of lack of free will, and how it fucks with our heads sometimes. And then how do we take that? How do we capture parts of it? Oh my word. I just had a triggering thought of a Bible verse about capturing thoughts. We're not going to go
I
there
remember
right now.
that.
Maybe that should have been the bullshit Bible verse of the week. Hang in there, folks. We haven't gotten to it yet. Ty, are you even aware? We have a bullshit Bible verse of the week coming up. Anyway, okay, little plug for something for our own shit later on in the same shit. Anyway, so, but I really taken this concept of determinism and saying, okay, well, how do I live in light of it? Like, how do I actually function without it crippling me from anxiety, from whatever may be? And so, seriously, thank you for this call. Any final thoughts for us, NH?
Well, I gotta thank you sincerely. Like I've had it was a great conversation. I hope like that the sound waves coming into my ears have changed my neuron structure enough.
Yes.
So that I can live a better tomorrow, let's say. And also, if you'd like, maybe at some time I can give you like a candidate for the bullshit
Yes.
Quranic verse of the week. If you'd like.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, please do. Send it our way. If you want, you can message it or email it to us if that's easiest. I've read, but I don't have even the names of the books. I might not fully grasp it if it's not written out. So send it to us. I would love that. And we'll find somebody to help walk us through the bullshit Quranic verse of the week. So thank you for that. Yeah. But no, and I want to, one final thought I want to encourage you with, okay, as you're saying, hopefully the sound waves come through, will connect and will help me, be motivated enough to XYZ. And then you gave this little, almost sounded like an outburst of, it was like a chuckle. It was like you were chuckling at the own thought of what you were saying just now. And I could almost see, picturing you smiling at it. And maybe even a little bit of excitement, a slight little giddiness, if I will. And so I'm going to challenge you to say, it's already having that effect. It's already having that effect. Our conversation is already changing. It's already changing.
I'm convinced.
It's already changing your outlook. Maybe it was already determined. If so, lean into it. Lean into it, family, and let it take you. Let it send you soaring, okay? All right, NH, truly a pleasure. Call back again sometime, okay? Seriously, you're very much welcome. Call back anytime you want and share with us about, more of the questions, thoughts, curiosities you're leaning into, okay?
Okay. Right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a good rest of your day.
You as well. Bye-bye. Oh, what a conversation, huh?
Yeah, good question.
Such a good question. Absolutely. Let's see. And we have another caller here coming up for us. Let's go ahead. Should we just go ahead and jump into the next call?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think so, Ty. All right, Let's rock and roll. All right, our next caller is Melchizedek. Melchizedek calling in, pronouns he, him, from New York, a reproduction engineer. I'm clicking the big green button, and here we go. Melchizedek, you are on live with Ty and Drew. How you doing tonight?
Well, could be better, but good so far. I haven't been able to tune into the actual conversation tonight.
Okay.
But I am very interested in the fact that you are talking about the wholesale discard of religion, which I have an issue with, a factual issue with, not a belief difference.
Okay.
So can you entertain a factual difference?
Well, talk to me about what
with
your
your position
what's on your
of
mind. I'll entertain whatever you have on your mind, as long as it's respectful.
Mhm.
So go ahead, just talk to us. What's going
okay. Okay.
Melchizedek, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead. So tell us what you called in to share with us, or what your question is, or whatnot.
Okay. I'm saying I have an issue with the wholesale discard of religion, because the word religion means to bind, and a human being is a unit of motion from which our body separated when our unit was reproduced as a human being. We're talking about
Our unit was
atomic
reproduced as a
bonding
human
now.
being. So Melchizedek, I'm going to jump in. Okay, I need to clarify a few things. I want you to clarify a couple things. So you're
Okay.
talking about units of reproduction when they separate from our being or something. Are you talking about? Are you talking purely in naturalistic terms, in terms of units separate from, et cetera, et cetera? Are you talking about when we are born and separated from the human that gave birth to us? Or are you talking in more some sort of metaphysical terms? Break down and try and use. Okay, I'm not so much interested. I want to clarify this as well. Now, just because I'm not interested in it doesn't mean you can't be, but we have to be speaking and using terms in helpful ways as well. So I'm not so much interested in the etymology behind words such as religion. Words are flexible things that can mean much, much more than the etymological origination of et cetera, to bind. So I don't care about etymology. I care about what happens in your actual life.
Okay.
So clarify a little bit, try and use terms the way typical conversation uses, please. But continue.
Okay. So to give some clarity, let me first say that I have studied the purpose, trigger, and source of energy's original release.
And what do you mean by that?
So
energy's
that
original release.
Well, potential energy which cannot be created nor destroyed is stored energy. Okay. Anything that is potential is stored. Are you aware?
I know where you're going. I hear what you're saying. Please continue.
Okay. All right. So the first law of thermodynamics informs us energy can be created nor destroyed. So that is potential energy, which is stored energy. So when I talk about the word release, I'm talking about release from its mandatory storage entity, because you can't have something stored without a storage entity. You follow?
I follow. Yes.
Okay.
I believe I do.
Okay. So what I'm saying here, that those were the two components of motion that were present before the Big Bang, or before energy was released, which is the same terminology that what I mean when I say energy is released. Some refer to it as let there be light, some refer to it as the Big Bang. But the fact remains, what I'm speaking about is potential energy which cannot be created nor destroyed in its dormant state and stored state, and then being released from its mandatory storage entity.
So Melchizedek, I'm going to jump in real quick here. Melchizedek, I want to know. I need you to hone it in a little bit. I need you to tell us what your question is. I'm going to give you a generous 30 seconds to get to the point and the question of what you're calling in about. Okay?
The point,
if it's to try and convince us of something, I think you've got the wrong show. But what are you calling in about?
Well,
how can we help?
I am the point that I'm trying to make to you is that reuniting those three components that I just mentioned when they reproduce themselves as a human being is what the definition, or is the abbreviation. The word religion is the abbreviation of that process. So that's what I meant when I said that a wholesale disregard of religion, despite the fact that all that has been on the earth so far are impotent concepts of religion.
So you
because since
are
it means blind.
defining religion
Yeah.
to be.
No, I'm not redefining it.
No, hold on.
I'm saying that
You're defining it differently than how like everybody else does, which words are only helpful if they
well, I have
to
evidence
say that it's connected with energy.
to back up what I'm saying.
Religion is the container of energy or something, right?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
I said religion is the abbreviation of the process which reunites our unit of motion after that unit has been reproduced as a human being. Because when it's reproduced as a human being, the body separates from the other two components.
Where did you get that definition from?
Say again?
Go ahead, Ty. Or maybe Ty froze up a little bit.
Did I lose you?
I
think
Ty's back, I think. Yeah.
I wanted to know
Say?
from.
Sorry, Ty. I don't think we're hearing you. I'm not hearing anything. I think it might be a bandwidth.
I'm
for a moment.
I'm hearing you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
I'm curious to know, where did you get that definition of religion from?
Okay, so since the word religion means to bind, and what it needs to bind is the three components of motion that constitutes a human being, because anything that moves, whether it's a human being, a car, a train, a plane, a horse and carriage, or whatever,
but I didn't
the
ask
same
you
law applies. You're talking about the law of motion, a union between a power source of transmission and a body.
Listen,
anything that says a religion is just and is not.
Melchizedek, I just muted you. Okay. I think we're approaching an impasse, but I'm not quite giving up on you yet.
Mm-hmm.
Ty is asking you a very specific question.
Yeah,
and it's not what you're answering.
Yeah, so, I'm not asking for the
go ahead and
definition
re-ask
again.
your question.
Yeah. I'm not asking for the definition again. I'm not asking for the explanation again. I just wanted to know where all of what you just said, where did that come from?
Okay.
Is that something you just made up?
Yeah.
Came from. Am I there?
Yep, you're here. You're back.
Okay. She asked me where it came from. It came from my study of the purpose, trigger, and source of energy's original release. Because that is fundamental to know that. In other words, since energy release is now shaped as my human form, and if I don't know why this energy was released, everything that I am doing could be in conflict with the purpose for which that energy was released.
Okay.
Hence the reason that I studied it to understand, okay, I need to know.
I'm going to jump in here, Melchizedek. Okay, so something I said earlier, I fear maybe you, I use the word fear. I don't fear, but I suspect that's a better word. I suspect that maybe you've called into the wrong show on this. Okay. But I'm going to ask a different question and see if maybe we have a potential conversation here that we can help and that can be helpful for folks. I don't give a shit how you're connecting. Your definition of religion is more flawed than anything. But I don't care. We're not talking about that. Okay. So I'm curious, is there, let's set aside how we perceive metaphysics, etc. Is there just a real life issue beyond all this that you would like our perspective on? What is troubling you? What are some challenges, a challenge that you are facing in real life as you live your day to day that you would like our perspective on? And maybe we can work through this together. And maybe it doesn't matter whether we believe in gods or energies or how we define religion. is there something you're facing right now that you'd like our
I see.
perspective on? Yeah.
Okay. Well, the greatest challenge that I'm facing right now is fact resistance of the human species. I've encountered that the human species is a fact resistant species. Even though even in science, where it is claimed that it is based on fact, we have the science community claiming that there is no absolute in science, which Newton disputes with the first law of motion.
Can
So,
I
if you ask me about one of the challenges that I face in my day-to-day life, that's it. Fact resistance by the human species.
How does that
And
impact your
if you
life?
want to, expound on that, we can talk about that if you want to.
Yeah, Ty just asked you a follow-up on that. Go ahead. Ty, would you mind again?
Yeah, how is that impacting your day-to-day life?
Because all of my study is based on identification, acknowledgement, and conformity with the absolute fact. Because Webster defines truth as conformity with fact. So, if truth is conformity with fact, then identifying the absolute fact and conforming to it would get us to the absolute truth. Now, if my logic is flawed where that is concerned, I'm open to being shown, otherwise. But that's where I am at, based on what Webster has said.
Tell me.
He defines, say again.
Yeah, no, this is good. So let's go down this track at least a little bit, okay? I'm not going to give up on you yet, Melchizedek, okay? And I appreciate you trying to play along here, okay? And finding something that pertains to your day-to-day life. So I'm curious, if others are saying that, so you've done your research, you've come to your conclusions, and then others who are respected leaders, peer-reviewed in their fields, disagree with you, what steps do you take to determine whether or not they might be closer to the truth, as you say, than you are? How do you self-review?
Well, then we go to what the absolute fact is, because, as I said, since Webster says that truth is conformity with fact, then we have to determine, well, what do you mean by going to the fact?
What do you mean by going to the fact? What if it's not clear and obvious? What if you're both looking at the facts and all these other peer-reviewed folks disagree with you?
No, I said the absolute fact.
What is the absolute fact?
And I have identified it, which is this: the absolute fact is that everything which did, can, or will ever happen is dependent on obedience to the natural, absolute, and immutable law of motion's inviolable order of an indivisible union between its three mandatory components, better known as a power source, a transmission, and a body.
Yeah, so you know what?
We went full circle.
We're going full circle here, Melchizedek. I would love, there's so many great debate shows here that would just love to tear you to shreds. I usually, my big struggle in this, I just don't know enough. Okay. So this is not the shit that lights me up. I'm not going to debate with you, but dude, yeah.
Well, wait a minute. So wait a minute. Your whole program is about truth. What is true?
Hold on.
And so either you dispute that stuff.
Okay. I'm going to mute you, Melchizedek.
That's not.
I didn't.
Okay.
Tapering it off on your own time. What are your? Any final thoughts you have here or
Well,
questions?
I was just hoping we were going to, get to talk about something that we could actually help with or discuss.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not about, debating energy or a fact versus truth, but I do understand though what it's like when the term fact resistant I thought was going to be an interesting term to take a look at, because I do think that a lot of religion and a lot of Christians are fact resistant. So I thought we were going to go down that path. Right? Because that is something that, we have to deal with when we're talking to people in our families who are resistant to the facts, and are unwilling to even look at facts. And family.
Okay, yeah, you're back.
No?
Yeah. Ty, we lost you for a moment, but you're back now. But yeah, no, I agree. That would have been great. Melchizedek, I don't want things to end on a poor note. I do appreciate the call. I think I want to appreciate the call. I just honestly, we're not going to debate matter and energy and all of that. It just really is the wrong show. But I wish you well.
Well, what about
I
fact?
do encourage you
What
to
about fact?
continue.
Your lady was just saying, that would have been an interesting thing to follow, but she only saw it from a Christian point of view. I am saying the scientific community is fact resistant also. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And also too, I don't know if I heard.
And I'm ready to provide you with evidence.
Yeah, we're not. That's not the kind of conversation we're having. Melchizedek, I also just want to say,
you're only interested in fact resistant Christians. You're not interested in fact resistant.
Okay, Melchizedek, you got muted, and yes, that is. Thank you, back of the house, for putting that up there. That is what I thought I heard.
Yeah.
My lady. Okay. I hope maybe there was some sort of sometimes words aren't intended the way they come across. I hope it meant the amazing guest that is on your show as opposed to how you worded it. But your lady sounds fucking misogynistic as fuck, and that's not how we operate here. So Melchizedek, I think we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for the call, I guess. But we're not going to even have you on for a final word there. I think you've had all the words you need, just not, you're calling into the wrong show. All right. So we are officially ending that call. Well, Ty, wow.
You have more.
I agree though. What you said for a moment, I was like, you know what? Because that's what folks, I know we're watching from a variety of different perspectives. I know not everybody watching the show, be it live or in the future, is a former theist, okay? And now some variation of no longer being it. I know not all of us are in that boat. We're not all atheists. We're not all agnostics. We're not all agnostic atheists, okay? Some of us are believers in Christianity and all of its million different Christianities, as we talked about earlier. Some of us are believers in other types of theism or God stuff, whatnot. I know we don't all agree. And I've said multiple times, both to our team and maybe a few times on air, anybody can call in. Okay. You can call in if you're a believer in some variation of God stuff. We can have a great conversation. And I hope y'all hear, we tried to turn it around. We're not interested in debate. If anybody calls up trying to convince us of why we should believe in their variation of God or God stuff, I'm going to say, okay, yeah, but that's not what this is. Let's set our theistic beliefs or lack thereof aside. And let's talk about real life, because we all got real shit we're trying to navigate. So I hope y'all see that. We tried to pull it in that direction. And Ty, I agree with you. For a moment, I thought maybe we had a chance, because I agree, Ty, that would have been a great conversation.
Yeah.
What did they call it? Truth resistant?
Fact resistant.
Fact resistant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, good stuff. Or it could have been. So, hey, let's do this. Where'd my Bible go? What do you say, Ty? Do you think it's about that time for a little bullshit Bible verse of the week?
Let's have it.
Let's go.
Let's
All
have
right,
the
folks.
bullshit.
Everyone's favorite time of the week, the bullshit Bible verse of the week. Here we go. This week, pulling in all the way from Proverbs 28:26. Proverbs 28:26 says this. All right, you know what I thought about we could do sometime? Ty, tell me what you think about this. Maybe we could do this in the chat. All right, chat. We're going to do, y'all ever do those, what they call sword drills, Bible drills, where you yell out the verse, and then whoever can flip to it first and read it first is the winner. I don't know. Maybe we can do that. I think something like that would be fun. Where although I think I already said it out loud in my mind for a moment, I was thinking I hadn't said it yet. I was going to say, who can get there first? All right. Who can tell me? Yeah. Bible drills. There you go, Bree. There we go. Bree's got it. Bible drills. All right, y'all. So let's see, chat. Who knows it? Proverbs 28:26. Go. Anybody got that? They can type it in. Let's see. Anybody know the theme? Anything? Might be triggering. Proverbs 28:26 says this, Ty. Those who trust in themselves are fools, but those who walk in wisdom are kept safe. Those who trust in themselves are fools. So, Ty, I got to tell you, I hear everything you've been saying tonight, but here it is, plain as day. Those who trust in themselves are fools. Why would we ever trust in self if the Bible clearly says it's pure foolishness? Why are you trying to tell us to be foolish, Ty? Why are you trying to tell us to be foolish?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would have to ask who wrote that, right? Wait, who trusted themselves to write that?
Oh shit! There we go. There we go.
Because then it becomes, who am I supposed to trust? You? I'm supposed to trust the person who wrote it?
Well, and that's the kind of shit though that really gets in your head, right? Because then, when you're someone who believes this shit is real, whether it's from an experienced, very worn out hipster Bible, like what I used to preach from, or some other variation, like churches are really out there telling folks, you can't trust yourself. The best way to trust, or if you trust yourself, you're a damn fool. And then we get out of the church, we leave the faith, and now sometimes some of that shit, it hangs on, right?
Oh, it does, yeah.
It hangs on.
Yeah.
And now we left the faith, we left the God stuff, we left church world, but I'm still having a hard time trusting myself because I've been taught my whole damn life that I can't.
Yeah. Well, we've been also taught not to evaluate, because the other part of that is those who walk in wisdom. Well, what's wisdom?
Yes.
And how do I know how to evaluate, right, what wisdom is? And one of the Christian speaks we used to use all the term is like, I have a discerning spirit. I have the spirit of discernment, or the gift of discernment. Well, what's that based on if it's not based on you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It's like wisdom. Okay, well, is wisdom simply I suppose there's lots of ways to define wisdom, right? But the application of experience and learning toward a higher quality level of decision making? Sure, just trying to use the resources you got to make strong, well-lived decisions. Is that wisdom? Or is wisdom this magical spinal tap into the Spirit of God?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, wisdom leads to safety, right? Those who walk in wisdom are kept safe. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many people are kept safe as a result of God's wisdom? Who has he kept safe? Who?
Yeah. My heart hurts for a lot of us who we really tried to apply those scriptures. And I know I'm not the only one who was in tears on my knees before God, asking for wisdom, asking for, divine wisdom, and never having an understanding of, nobody ever was clear about what that actually is. right?
Yes.
So you're asking for it and you're trying to live by it. And it is heartbreaking when you're asking and not getting an answer.
Mm.
But you're told that's what you just have to keep doing. And if you have enough faith, if you just believe enough, if you just suffer enough,
Mm.
right,
Mm.
then he'll tell you, what the hell is he going to ever tell me? How do I know that it's him and not the Satan whispering in my ear? Right. So then it goes back to that trust. Well, I can't trust this. If it was good, if it was something that was positive, maybe it's the devil telling me, or is it God telling me? Right. Is this wisdom coming from some old religion that, is against God? I can't listen to it. You never know. You never get an answer, and you stay in that space of wanting something that is, it's not ever going to happen. Just not there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is. It's heartbreaking. I mean, this shit, it does a number on folks, right?
Yeah.
And that's where honestly, I'm so excited for your upcoming book, Breaking Up with Jesus. I don't know to what degree it delves into these kinds of things. From what I understand, it might delve into some of it at least.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
excited for it, for real.
It does. I talk about a couple of different sections. I talk about why we get into the relationship in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want belonging, because we were born into it, because we were scared into it. I talk about why we stay in the relationship. It's connection to our families. It becomes our identity. And then I talk about why we end up leaving the relationship. Right. And I share bits of my story in there, but I'm also taking a look at it from all the different ways that we're conditioned to believe it.
Yeah.
And what it takes to actually break that, because it's not an easy thing to walk away from if you've really been trying to live it.
No, for sure. For sure. Let's talk more about your projects and stuff in a moment. But first, I just want to close this out and say, Tai, the verdict of Proverbs 28:26. What's the verdict?
Bullshit.
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 Bullshit. Bullshit. All right, everybody. All heresies people in the chat. Everybody just write, all caps, at least 3 exclamation points. Bullshit. I want to see it in the chat. All heresies people. Let's hear bullshit. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to get going church here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Once heard Jerry DeWitt. I say once heard, but I heard him a lot of times. I don't know if y'all know Jerry DeWitt. He's this former preacher atheist. And he likes to yell out, all right, everybody said Darwin. Everybody in the chat yell Darwin. Darwin. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So, okay. Bullshit. Now, Tai. Okay. So when do we know when Breaking Up with Jesus is going to release?
It's going to be probably released in the third quarter of this year.
Third quarter
Q3.
of this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where can we be up to date on the releases, any updates, or how can we make sure we're among the first people to find out once it is out?
Yeah. There's a website, breakingupwithjesus.com.
Ooh,
right there.
I've subscribed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, real quick, there's so many questions that we could have dove into here over our session here tonight. I do want to hear real quick, at least a little snippet before we start making some exciting announcements and kind of talk about next week and some stuff like that. So I've seen you describe yourself as a vision midwife and as a liberation coach. Talk to us about that. Help us birth the vision. All right. How does this work? What does it mean? What do you do? Fill in the gaps. Take us.
Yeah. I haven't used the liberation coach in a while. I was delving into coaching at one point. I thought I wanted to work around like religious trauma. And I started going down that path, and I kind of stepped back from that because I think the work that I'm doing around authority literacy has deeper implications, like taking a look at how we're conditioned and how we've been indoctrinated with things and how that shows up. I mean, it's crazy how the patterns show up, not just in church, but in work and in our relationships. And it's all because we've given away our sovereignty. We've outsourced, our authority to religion for a large part. So that liberation coach thing, that was an older thing. The vision midwife though sticks with me. One of my clients told me that I had the ability to see her beyond where she is. Right. And I was literally helping her give birth to the vision of herself that she wanted to become. Wow. And that's been my favorite way to work with people, even in this authority literacy, right? How do you see yourself? How do you see your vision when you don't outsource your authority to a book or to a career or to another person? What if you were able to see yourself different? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it all. I love it all. Well, folks, let's see. Did we miss any super chats? I know we caught a couple of them. Hey, crew, if there was anything I missed, please go ahead and throw it on the screen. And we want to give a big thanks to so many folks. First of all, to our patrons, our Patreon patrons. Big, huge thank you to Karen Butcher, Logan Fisher, Amanda McLeod, Ryan, Dan D, The Bible Says What? Sonny Shell, Phil Calderon, Victor, and Kelly King. Thank you so much for all of your support. And then we also mentioned last week how just over the past 3 weeks or so, our YouTube memberships have exploded from like 10 to over 60 in just 3 weeks. So we love and appreciate y'all. The members, the YouTube members that we're going to feature this week are Paul F3, Indentured Cervex. Can we give awards out to best names? Let's see. Rain Bads, okay. Maya Atkinson, Bobtailed Trucker, 2521. Okay. Thank you all for all of your support, and just keep it coming so we can keep Skeptic Haven, keep Life After Faith, and keep Skeptic Haven moving forward. Of course, we also have our crew, Bree Badger back there tonight behind the scenes, Call, Ember, Michael, Stacy, Wes, all y'all. We couldn't do it without you. And we can use more help as well, okay? More help as well. We can use some call screeners. We can use some call mods as well. Okay. So please, folks, if you want to come over and help us navigate the chaos, well, then please do that. You can email us at skeptichaven.com or skeptichaven@gmail.com to help us see if you might be a great fit as a call screener and a chat mod. Oh, and also, how dumb am I? I've been talking throughout the week with Lisette Martinez, just recently joined the crew here with us. Thank you so much for your help as well. Seriously, it's so exciting to see the crew expanding, the supporters expanding, the viewers, the community expanding. Thank you so much for all y'all doing as we grow this little show. All right, the week ahead, tomorrow night, please join us here at Skeptic Haven, the Skeptic Haven family. Join us for Critical Call tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with AJ Ruley and this week's guest, Lil of All Trades, a loved one of many. Then Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have the Deconversionists with Alan and Elliot once again coming out strong. That, by the way, is our newest show. We're only on our 5th week. This is them coming in on their 2nd week on Friday, the Deconversionists with Alan and Elliot. And then on Sunday, the flagship show, we have Let's Talk, 8 p.m. Eastern this week with Jim Barrows and Aaron Lewis in the seat. You see on the banner down below us, we also have the Thought Experiment, which runs like every other week or so. That's not up this week, but we'll catch that on the flip as well. Let's see. Tai, so much going on. What did we miss on your end? Anything you'd like to highlight? How can we follow you? How can we support you? Anything else you want to highlight before we wind things up tonight?
Well, thank you and for the invitation, first of all, and thank you for letting me share. The best work that I'm doing right now is over on Substack under Authority Literacy. I'm talking about deconstructing Christian authority. I'm also talking about how do we reclaim our sovereignty. And so I've got some really great articles there, and you can find me over there under authorityliteracy.substack.com.
Excellent. Excellent. And all the heathen said, Darwin, let's go. Okay. So we do want to remind folks, seriously, it is our desire to develop a little slice of community on this show, whether it's through the chat or by calling in, whether it's looking for other ways to get involved. Maybe it's everybody getting together, having a little viewing party. I don't know what it is. Throughout the week, we'd invite you first and foremost to think about how you might both invest in seeking out guidance and also invest in sharing guidance with others who are making their way after faith. We're all at different stages, and no matter how much experienced we might be with this shit, we never have it all mastered. We're both learning and in a position where we're able to teach and help and guide others. So I'd invite you all to start thinking about next week's featured conversation. Raise your hand if breaking free of faith and church was truly an act of survival for you. Go ahead and raise your hand in the chat. All right. Absolutely. Truly an act of survival. And if you maybe even have a little bit of PTSD as a result, or religious trauma syndrome as a result of it, to dive into religious trauma survival mode, as well as anything else y'all want to call in about, we have joining us next week, Janice Selby, religious trauma recovery coach and author of Divorcing Religion, a memoir and survival handbook, fielding these questions, and again, pretty much anything else you want to call in about and ask about. So start thinking now what your questions might be, as we are always looking for boots on the ground, live challenges, live in person. Those take priority as we navigate life after faith. All right, Tai, now is the moment where we invite you to bestow upon us the final benediction.
All right, I've got one here for you. You ready? May you leave this conversation trusting yourself a little more than you did before. May you reclaim the parts of yourself you buried beneath fear, performance, and obedience. May you learn to recognize the difference between guidance and control, between love and compliance, between truth and coercion. And may your questions become pathways instead of punishments. And may you remember that your life belongs to you. I hope to see you next time on Life After Faith.
That's a wrap here, folks. Have a great week. Stay for there's a few notes on the final video, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, y'all. Well, that's a wrap here, folks. Hey, do us a favor. Smash like, subscribe, leave a comment. Best ones get tattooed on our favorite guests. And if you're feeling extra lovey tonight, then please, Patreon, memberships, a good old share to the algorithm. All of these are great ways to help our team feel the love and keep the channel moving strong. But hey, one way or another, we'll see you right back here next time, fam, right here on Life After Faith, where we're finding our way together.